How's it going, everybody? Thanks a ton for tuning in, and welcome back to the Have a Go Talk Show. I'm your host, Dylan Saucedo, and today we're breaking down Week 12 and 13 in the MLR, as well as some power rankings and picks with predictions. So this week, a lot of rugby going on in the States. Obviously, rugby's on the rise here. We need the support, need people to get out to watch these games, and it's been going just as we planned. A lot of rugby being played, like I said. So the War's going on, Women's Elite Rugby. We've got the MLR, Major League Rugby going on. College national championships, both women's, men's, sevens, 15s, NCR, CRAA, all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of fans at all of these games, right? Some of the college teams obviously bringing some students with them, that kind of thing. But a lot of rugby fans going out to these games. USA Women's 15s actually just played 2 matches as well. So one against Japan down in LA at Wallace Annenberg Stadium, actually the home of RFCLA. Was able to play a game down there. Was able to watch that one actually on Friday night, and wow, what an amazing atmosphere to play rugby in on home soil. First kind of test of that for them for the year, and definitely a good kind of move into the rest of the year for the women's 15s. Obviously, they have a bid at the World Cup this year in England, so some massive matchups coming up for them, and they're ramping up into those quite well. Also able to play a secondary match, I believe that was actually this last Friday. 2 weeks ago was the Japan match, but just played Canada as well out in Kansas City, and we had a record-breaking attendance at that match. Was able to watch that one a little bit as well down in LA, and man, this was some amazing rugby being played. Both Canada and America, USA, obviously, 2 strong sides in the women's competition. Obviously, both leading up to a big World Cup performance at the end of the year. So both teams ramping up quite well. A great game to watch, and really excited for the fans show out, the support for our national team. We obviously needed, and rugby's on the rise here in the States. Actually released a video yesterday talking about the Pacific Nations Cup and how 3 different cities will host 3 different weekends of events for the Pacific Nations Cup, which is Tier 1 international rugby. And it's actually also a World Cup qualification event. So some big stuff going on here in the USA, and the MLR is just another part of that, right? So getting finally into Week 12, some of those scores. Didn't do the best on our picks, but did an okay job for sure. This first game, Utah versus San Diego now, Wednesday night match down in Harriman. Wasn't able to get out there due to some practices we had leading into the LA Sevens, but San Diego coming out hot, playing some really good rugby. And like I said, they needed to have that 7 style attack, get back into kind of their style, and really use that this game. They were able to do that and score quite a few points, but Utah's forwards just proving to be too much for them. I start 1-0 in the week, and Utah wins that one 38-31 in favor of Utah. Now the Warriors playing 2 games this week. We'll talk about their second one against Old Glory here in a moment, but that second game had a couple of days rest. Now on to Friday night. We had RFCLA traveling out to Seattle to play the Seawolves. This was a nail-biter of a match, and actually the only match that I was able to watch live this week, obviously down there at the LA Sevens. Had some finals going on, had some rugby to be played, so a lot of stuff going on for me. It was tough to watch all of these games. Obviously some other rugby going on as well that I wanted to watch, so kind of tough. Was able to watch some of the highlights from the rest of these games, but Seattle, man, came out hot, played a really good first half, and then RFCLA comes back in the second, scores a couple of tries, keeps themselves in the game, and Seattle able to score a late one to make it 26-26. This one ends in a tie. I start the week off, I guess, with 1 win and 1 tie. We'll take that as a loss on my account just because I said Seattle was going to win this one, but an amazing match nonetheless. First time these teams have showed up for each other in quite a while. Just was an amazing one to watch. The back lines had a great battle going on. Obviously, Devan Rousseau, Jade Styling, a couple of streakers for Seattle, and then guys like Reese McDonald, Christian Dyer, who's actually not in right now, but guys like Reese McDonald playing some phenomenal rugby for LA. Gonzalo Bertrano obviously leading that attack with some phenomenal pace. So RFCLA playing some really good rugby, thinking they're going to move up in those rankings here in a couple of weeks, but Seattle putting in another good performance. We're going to keep everybody kind of where they stand. So we'll talk about the power rankings here in a moment, but I got a couple more games left on the weekend. Now we're moving to Sunday. So Sunday afternoon, first afternoon game for the Free Jacks in quite a while. Now, this one was at home. We said the Free Jacks were going to be strong. Of course they were. Sabercats playing some good rugby as well, just not as strong on the road. Free Jacks pull through on this one, 36-17, and give me my second win of the week. So we start week 12 out with two wins and 1 loss there in the Seattle game. Very excited to get some of these predictions right. Obviously, watching this rugby this season, I've wanted to kind of, give myself a challenge, I guess, to see who's going to win these games, see if I know rugby. And I'll tell you what, this guy knows ball. So very excited to get that win there. Moving into the next game, we had Utah Warriors at Old Glory. Now, like I said, Utah playing their second game in the week and not changing the lineup up too much. That first match definitely had a couple of new guys in the first 23. I know Tomasi Tonga, a Utah native, getting his first appearance of the year, I believe. So playing some good rugby from those younger guys for sure. I know Cole Seamu's been getting some appearances, was able to play in these two games this week. So Utah playing some good rugby. Not enough though for Old Glory. Old Glory playing a lot of team ball, right? They're not a big flashy team. They don't go for home run balls. They're a real phase layer, and they just trot down the field. Old Glory, obviously a team that likes to use the boot a lot as well, but just too much for Utah this weekend. Old Glory take that one 28-12. Now, I'm pretty positive that I picked Utah for this game. I don't remember, but pretty sure we're going to start 2-2 in week 12. Not the worst thing ever. And we have two more games to finish off, so let's take a look at those. Now, Chicago versus Miami. This one was a big one and a big thing for the Eastern Conference standings for sure. Obviously, Miami needs a couple of big wins to get into that playoff rank and make sure they secure their spot in the Shield race. Chicago, though, a couple of tough performances on the back end for them. Moving into the halfway point of the year, Chicago just not being able to win games, not being able to close things out, keeping teams in games a little bit too much, and this one they were able to do that again, or unfortunately did that again, I guess, with Miami. Now the Sharks, some electric rugby from them. They're a real flowy team. They like to play fluent ball, move it quite a bit, and have really fast rucks. But Chicago's defense is doing too much to stop that. Miami gets a try right before the half. Chicago's not too happy about it, and they close them out in the second, score two tries off of the mauls, I believe, maybe some pick and goes, but the forward pack just doing some great work for Chicago. Dylan Fawcett goes in for his try to end the game, and they win that one 14-7. That moves me to 3-2 on my Week 12 picks. Now, very excited for this, and really happy to see Chicago get another win. Obviously, had to move them down from that number one spot a couple of weeks ago, and now the Free Jacks have taken that spot. We'll talk about that in a second, but Chicago, really excited to see them get this win and happy to watch them move throughout the rest of the season. So good win there for sure. And the last game of the weekend, an 80-point thriller. NOLA at San Diego. This one was a big one. Now, I did pick NOLA to win this game. San Diego, just not my favorite team so far this year. I'll tell you what, the Legion have always been a strong side. They've always beaten my Seawolves as well, except for that one time in the championship, which is what matters. But the Legion playing some good ball this week for sure. Two games for them, one on Wednesday, one on Sunday night. They get the win, 45-36. Now, I wasn't able to watch the rest of this whole game, but was able to watch some of the highlights. San Diego is a electric team. Now that 7-style attack coming back into play for them, doing some good work to make sure that those home run balls are going to the right places. The kicks are going to the right spots as well, and able to dot down a couple of loose balls. This was, a real loose ball game. A lot of mistakes from both teams as well. A lot of penalties on both sides. Both teams able to take advantage of that, score quite a few points. 80-point thriller finishes off week 12. So amazing stuff there, and really excited to see some of these teams get some better development for some of those other players, right? We see the MLR. You got one game a week. You're going to play your guys. Those dudes want to start, first of all. And secondly, you want to win these games, right? Beginning of the year, it's really important to get those wins, get those bonus points, and move yourself into a good spot moving through the rest of the season. Obviously, we've seen this year the bonus points and that point differential in the table is going to be really important while we move into the playoffs. And we're getting really close to that now. That'll do it for Week 12. The Have a Go Talk Show. We finish 1, 2, 3, and 3, I believe, on our Week 12 picks. Not too mad about it. Obviously, some good rugby being played and a couple of upsets as well. So very excited to get those picks in, and now we're ready for some more, right? So moving into those standings, we'll take a look at the Western Conference first. Utah moves into that top spot after a couple of phenomenal weeks of rugby for them. Was able to go watch them last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, for the second game of the year, and just an amazing team. A real culture-driven squad, and a massive community out there in Harriman to watch them play. They are actually 30 minutes south of Salt Lake City, so about 30 minutes away from the University of Utah, but nonetheless, a lot of fans out there, a lot of rugby being played, a lot of good rugby being played at that. So great stuff for Utah. San Diego also moves up to that second spot now. They started the year off 5-0. We keep talking about it. They had 5 losses in a row, 4 losses in a row. Got a win, got a loss, got a win again. So now they're back in that number 2 spot, only 3 points behind Utah, and that kind of middle of the season there didn't mean too much for San Diego. They would have liked to get a couple of more wins, but still sitting at the top of the table in the West. I bet they're excited for that one. Houston moves down with the loss. They moved to 7-4 on the year and at 37 points to their name. Now just 1 point behind San Diego and actually 7 above RFCLA. So great stuff there in the Western Conference. And then LA and Seattle sit at the bottom of the table. Same record. Seattle 2 points below RFCLA, and we have to think yet again that's because of bonus points. So some amazing stuff there in the Western Conference, and this one's going to be tight as we move through the rest of the year. Obviously, Seattle, a playoff team through and through. RFCLA looking to make their first playoff, so it's going to be exciting as we move into the rest of the year. I'm not sure if Seattle and LA play again, but we're going to keep our eye on it and make sure that we're talking about these teams as they move through the end of the season here. Now, moving into the Eastern Conference, we had some great matchups here as well. Obviously, Miami and NOLA coming away with the losses this week. They moved down a spot. DC moves up a couple with their big win against Utah. Chicago and New England stay even, but now with the same record as Chicago gets another win to their name. So some great stuff in the East as well. Both conferences getting pretty tight at the top, and the Eastern Conference, obviously, Anthem hasn't won a game this year. Have gotten close a couple of times. Not sure when they're going to get that win, but we're going to keep our eye out for it. 5 points to their name on the year, and honestly, no chance of them making the playoffs at this point. So unless they win, 5 games or 6, 7, 8 games in a row with a bonus point in each one, maybe 2, it's really going to be tough for Anthem to make the playoffs this year. So I think for Anthem right now, it's just looking to get that first win, looking to put in some good performances and have some good development. Moving into the summertime, obviously 10 of those guys going to be playing with USA this summer, at least on that extended roster. So something for them to keep an eye out for, and something for us to pay attention to as we move throughout the rest of the year. So great stuff for the standings there. Now with standings, with results, we say it every week, we have power rankings. Now, I was very excited for these ones this week. Happy to move Utah up into that number 1 spot just a couple of weeks ago, but now, got to give some credit to the New England Free Jacks, to the back-to-back champs. I've heard a lot of chat about the Three Jacks kind of idea, and I'm going to lean into that as well. The New England Free Jacks have just been phenomenal, playing some electric rugby, both the forward pack and the back line, making some big impacts in each game. Even their bench, coming out very strong, super impactful, and they even have a couple of their big stars hurt right now. Obviously, their 2 top number 10s, Jason Patras, Falote Penny, both on the bench right now, kind of injured, I believe. Jason Patras maybe taking a little break after his injury, but Falote Penny, a big one to him a couple of weeks ago. So New England showing some of that depth, making sure their clutch factor is being put out for the rest of the fans to see, and it's just been amazing to watch the Free Jacks this year. Now, Utah moves down a spot. And I don't want to take anything away from Utah in this week, right? 2 games for them, 2 big ones at that. One on the road, one at home, a Wednesday and a Sunday. It's tough to play in 2 games like that, and we can see that Utah didn't change their lineup up very much. So definitely gonna, give some credit to Utah for playing strong in 2 games this week, with pretty much the same lineup, at least in the forward pack. So yeah, we're going to keep Utah at number 2. We're going to keep everybody else pretty still. Now, Chicago obviously getting a good win against Miami there. Now, Miami in the 5th spot, I think they're a hot squad. I'm really excited to see how their veterans step up throughout the rest of the year. And Noah Gold just keeps scoring a crap load of points. And I'm not sure who's going to be able to stop their point scoring. The only reason why San Diego was able to get that win is because they scored just as many points, right? So I think if Noah Gold can make a little bit more of a defensive effort, get some more turnovers, and really take advantage of some of those mistakes from other teams, they'll be able to score more points. And that's not even the problem. Just letting the other team not score as many points, I think, is their big focus now. They know how to score points. Obviously, those wingers, Julian Roberts and Xavier Mignon, been electric this year, scoring some hat tricks, scoring some, streaking tries. So these guys, they're going to put up points. They need to play some better defense. And I think that's what's going to push them up in the ladder as we move throughout the rest of the year. Looking at the bottom now, we have RFCLA, Old Glory, Seattle, San Diego, and Anthem. Now, San Diego definitely going to need a boost up after this week. 2 great performances, and honestly, on me for not moving them up a couple of spots. A big win there for them at the beginning of the week, but then a a loss for them at the beginning of the week and a good win for them at the end. We're seeing San Diego get back into that preseason form, that beginning of the year form, and I'm hoping to see them push that in next week. I want to see this team be very consistent, right? San Diego, a high-scoring squad, a good defensive squad as well. I want to see them be consistent, put a couple of good performances together in a row, and maybe we'll move them up the ladder. So very excited to get those power rankings out and keep consistency with that. A big week coming up in week 13, and week 14 is going to come at us like that as well. So we'll get into that now and chat about it as we move on. So getting into next week's schedule, week 13, got some picks and predictions for you guys. First game of the weekend, Friday night, NOLA Gold versus Miami Sharks at NOLA at the Gold Mine. Very excited for this one. Now we want to see Miami put in another good performance. Just had an okay one against Chicago, but need them to score some more points like they have been the rest of the year. They are going to have to play some defense though, as NOLA is known to score a ton of points, a ton of tries, and they actually go for penalty kicks quite a bit as well. So I think if Miami can dwindle down those penalties on their half, play some good defense in against NOLA, and then score a couple of tries late in the game, I think they're going to be able to take this one. Now, NOLA at home, hard to argue against. I think I'm going to have to take NOLA in this one. I think if Miami can play some good defense, they might get the win. But I think if NOLA can play their defense and do their thing on attack, they'll be able to get the win in this one, no problem. So I'm going to take NOLA for the first game of the week there. And moving into Saturday, we have a big matchup. Number 1 in the East versus number 2 in the East. These teams have been going at it all year. I'm sure have been keeping an eye on each other. Haven't been able to play this year so far, but now we have Chicago versus the Free Jacks. This is the game to settle it all. Now, both of these teams very strong, very very experienced, right, in their rugby. Chicago their forward pack is just electric, and Free Jack's backline has just been amazing this year. We have guys like Jack Reeves scoring tries from 80 meters out. Like they need to do that again this week. I know this is going to be a defensive battle. I know it's going to be a real high scoring game as well. But I think whatever team can play better defense, score some of those tries later in the game, I think that's what's going to seal the deal. Now, Chicago on the road, usually a strong side, but Free Jacks at home, just a little bit too strong in my eyes. I'm gonna have to take the Free Jacks in this one. We're gonna lean a little bit into that Free Jacks mentality. So very excited to see this one, and definitely gonna keep an eye on that this weekend. Moving into our next game on Saturday, we have Houston SaberCats taking on the San Diego Legion in Southern California. Now, Torero Stadium, a rocking and rolling place for rugby. We see the fans show up week in and week out for San Diego, but Houston on the road, a very strong side. We saw them get a loss last week. I know they're going to have some experiences from that to lead into this one. I want to see San Diego get the win though, and I think I'm going to take San Diego if their attack can prove to be what it was last week, and they can play some defense in Houston's half. I think San Diego is going to be able to take this one. So we're going to take the Legion on that one this weekend, and hopefully even be able to move them up the ladder in our power rankings as we move into Week 14. Now, Week 13, finishing off, we have Anthem Rugby Club traveling over to RFCLA. Now, this is going to be a nail-biter of a match. We see a lot of these players play together in a lot of their previous squads. I know Mitch Wilson. Some of those guys have gotten some time together, and it's going to be a battle of the experience, I guess. The backlines are going to be a big part in this one. I know Anthem's going to need to play some great defense against RFCLA's attack, but RFCLA's defense and their forward pack is going to be a big problem for Anthem in this one. I know RFCLA is going to put in a good performance at home. I think they're going to take the win as well. We're going to take RFCLA to finish off Week 12. Now, taking a little bit of a look into next week, finishing off Week 13, we're going to take a little bit of a look into Week 14. Week 14 is going to come at us fast. We're going to make sure to get that review out to you guys on Sunday next week. But Monday, Tuesday, and Friday are the first 3 games in Week 14. And Utah Warriors versus Seattle, NOLA versus Old Glory, New England versus Miami. We're gearing up for some big ones. Now, MLR moving into the end of the season, I believe there's 16 rounds total is what I've seen. So very excited to see some of these teams get that late season progression. We saw last year Seattle, New England Free Jacks putting some good pushes in at the end of the season. Dallas Jackals as well when they were playing in the league. So really happy to watch these games and do some commentary on them. Obviously, moving into the end of the season, the tables are tight. We're going to want to see some new teams make it into the playoff, and the road to the Shield starts now. So very excited for it. MLR also just released their their schedule for the playoffs. Now, the championship obviously going to be in Rhode Island, a new stadium out there in Rhode Island, and a great, fan base over there. The New England Free Jacks always have a full crowd at their matches, but the Centerville Bank Stadium, a brand new stadium, and the MLR is going to test out this summer. Hoping to get out there. Not sure if we're going to be able to. Pretty long travel for me, but very excited to see a new championship spot as San Diego's hosted quite a few of them so far. The MLR is growing, rugby in the USA is growing, and I'm all here for it. So amazing stuff for Week 13 and Week 12 there. Going to keep an eye on these games, and I want to hear you guys' picks as well. Thanks a lot for the support this weekend and the comments. That'll be it for our Week 12 review and our Week 13 picks and predictions. Thanks a ton for tuning in with the Have a Go Talk Show. We'll talk to you guys next week. When you're done, like, comment, share, and subscribe at Have a Go Talk Show on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Cheers.